Right, hello guys, and welcome to this. I think it's the fifth episode of the State of Trove, our community podcast. This time, I am joined by Ayum, and without actually more further ado, let's just introduce you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and your. Yeah, well, people can see you have a stream, so tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Ayum. It's Ayum or Ayum, however you want to say it. I've been streaming I started my channel about 3 years ago, but really only been streaming for about a year and a half. I stream kind of variety games, mainly Trove, but many different games, Fortnite, playing God of War, which I'll be playing later today. Hopefully we can finish it, please. And yeah, just kind of hanging out, playing games, hanging out with chat, play some music, things like that.
Cool. So you mentioned Trove, and that's what we're gonna focus on here, and but yeah, we are. I guess everybody in some way is kind of like a variety streamer, but yeah. So to just be clear, you play the game on what platform?
Yeah, so I play on PC. I started out on PlayStation actually. A friend of mine who I used to play Destiny with back in the day was like, hey, check out Trove. It's a really cool game. Come check it out. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out. So I played it on PlayStation. I played it, for like a month on PlayStation. And then everybody left. Everybody left me on PlayStation. I was just like, okay. So I was starting to build my own PC. And I was like, well, let me go play this on Trove. Because Trove on PC, because PC had the updates. So PlayStation at that time was a couple updates behind, so went and played on PC, loved it, got hooked up with a really good community, and then just kind of fell in love and kind of got addicted and just been playing it ever since then.
Oh yeah. I feel like a lot of people, or at least Detroit that we had on last time, also had a friend recommend the game, and then he also left the game, and then Detroit kept playing.
It's kind of how it happens, man. People this game's great, and then they just leave you. I'm guilty of it. I know I've done it to many people.
Yeah. Well, I think that Trove being a free-to-play game is really a nice recommendation to people, because if you don't like it, you didn't lose anything, basically. But if you recommend like a $60 game, for example, then you're like, I'm out. Okay, thanks. I didn't even start. And so
it's always nice. Free to play makes it nice.
Yeah. So you mentioned yourself that you started on PlayStation. Do you still play on PlayStation, or it's
occasionally, every now and then? I have some friends over there. I'll go back and I'll play on PlayStation. It's tough. It's definitely tough, playing on PC. People say PC Master Race. It's just runs so much smoother. Keyboard mouse just feels so comfortable. Going back to controller is always tough because you have to, do so many different things. Chatting is so much tougher unless you have a wireless keyboard and stuff like that. And so I do a little bit every now and then, not too much. I played on Xbox a little bit as well, but mainly PC. So I got a 12K Shadowhunter over on PlayStation, and I got a 6K Shadowhunter on Xbox, but I mainly just kind of stick to PC. It just makes life a lot easier. Mods are so good too.
Yeah.
Be able to see those stellars. Stellars, let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got to see those stellars.
So now that you have played on both things, right, and you kind of left your account on basically PlayStation, which you, like you said, you didn't touch it much. Would you think that at the state as PlayStation is right now, basically consoles? I don't know how the Xbox scene is, but would you think that it would be? And again, I'm not a developer, so I have no idea if this is gonna work.
Yeah.
But would you be? How's your opinion about you basically taking your PC account and playing it on the consoles with other console players, and not also the other way around?
So cross-platform?
Yeah, cross-platform.
Yeah, I think cross-platform would be fantastic for the game. I think it'd be really great. I think with a lot of games they're doing now that are free to play, making it cross-platform just opens the community up to so many different people to play play together. So many people have friends that maybe just have a PlayStation or just have an Xbox, and maybe they just play on PC and they don't have those. So be able to play with those friends would just be great. It's so much fun. I know it would be fun to be able to go back and play with, those people that I've connected with on PlayStation, and be able to hang out with them and play with them. I know as far as community-wise, being as a content creator and being a streamer for Trove, it would be so much fun just to be able to do giveaways for, the Xbox or PlayStation, and be able to, help them out with Shadow Tower carries. It's so crazy how many times people come into the channel and they're like, it's so hard to find a ultra carry, and be able to help them would be so much fun. I think it'd be great. I think structure-wise, as far as the game, I don't think it'd be able to handle cross-platform right now. I think it would be tough. I think right now, one of the problems we run, not just on console but also on PC as well, is rubber banding, lag, worlds just being too overpopulated. You can't really do anything. So that also happens on console, not just on PC. So that would be tough as well. But if that could all be ironed out, so let's say in a perfect world, if all of that was ironed out, yeah, I think that would be fantastic. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't see what basically the issues would be, besides, like, the first thing that comes to mind with me is that it's the trading thing, because we have, well, I guess there's like Detroit Gamer and the other in-game players that are on like PC or PS4, is that they of course have access to Stellars, but our economy is way stronger, and that's the first issue I see, like trading with people. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Because as you say, oh sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
But as you said, I also get, when I stream, I do get people from other platforms and stuff like that, and they do like say like, "Oh, which platform are you play on?" I play on, PC, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay," so they know already. Well, there's not going to be any like, I'm probably not going to say, "Hey, I can carry on PS4. Don't worry, I got an account there as well." So,
yeah, I think economy-wise is one of the, one of the negative, points. That definitely is something that for PC, it may, bring the economy down. It could make the economy worse, for, PlayStation and Xbox. It could be one of those things that maybe, as far as economy-wise, maybe those ones are separate. There's so many different ways you could spin it. Maybe if you invite to groups, it's just for, Shadow Towers, or it's just for, farming in the worlds. But as far as the economy goes, that's still just specific to your platform. It'd be interesting to see how all that worked. If the economy was split through all 3 different platforms, which I don't think PlayStation would be able to play with Xbox. I think there's still that, relationship that needs to be ironed out between, Sony and Microsoft. So, but, I think as far as the economy goes for PC, I think, that it may go down. Could make it better. You never know. But more than likely, it'll probably go down. So that would be the downside too.
Yeah, definitely. And there's something we're gonna discuss later on. Is basically something like tomes, and that's. So we'll probably talk a little bit more economy about that. But we did tag a subject and kind of ran with it at this point. So we do have to narrow it a little bit. So we do have to continue. So the last thing there is like, what is where you're at now, but where are your goals at in Trove now? So,
yeah, great question. So for me, as far as Trove goes, I kind of just play the game mainly as a guide. Answering questions for maybe new people who are coming into the game. What's a good way to start the game? Good starter classes. Way to make some flux at lower levels. As far as end game goes, there could be debate if there's an end game or isn't an end game. I'm not really big into mastery, as far as really, really grinding out mastery. Getting max mastery, or hitting high power rank. I have one character at 25k, so your mastery and power rank aren't really something that I really go for. It's basically just fun game for me to play, do carries. hang out with the community, do giveaways. A lot of the time in my streams, I'm basically farming stellars or farming flux, and then usually that same day or later in the week, I'm giving all those stellars away, and I'm giving all that flux away. So that's kind of what I do. Basically, I get something in the game, I think it's kind of cool, and I'll just give it away. So that's kind of how I play the game. That's kind of the fun that I find in the game is just being able to give away or maybe help somebody out who, maybe doesn't have a club or a friend who can help them out.
Yeah, basically somebody that would listen to their like questions or anything like that. And I think that's something that definitely the Tryon world, for example, own take for example, we kind of piggybacked a little bit on their developer stream. We did it right after that, and I would hope that they actually would support like the podcast or any of the other ones. They used to do that by hosting somebody. They don't do that anymore, and I think that's kind of it's a really easy thing. It doesn't really, but send these people on and show there's a community. So if you want some answers or you want to basically just get some help, there's a lot of people out there. Many streams there that's just very informative and helps like new players so much. And
absolutely, I think that would be great. I will lie, like I was on the lucky end of being hosted once by Tryon after one of their dev streams. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was sweet. Get to meet new people. You get some people have questions about certain stuff that isn't answered in the dev streams. So you can kind of address those as well. I think it would be great. I think Tryon does a really good job. It does more than other games do as far as the dream codes and giving beta access to other games and stuff like that. So they are doing something to help content creators. But hosting streamers after their dev stream, or maybe even bringing in streamers to the dev stream and just chatting with them, would be kind of cool. That would be sweet. I know they did it in the past, but that would be even cool too. Now they don't have to. I mean, they do quite enough already, but that would be kind of sweet too if something like that happened. The hosting with somebody would be cool, especially if it was like somebody who's like maybe new to the game and they could just like blow their mind, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting hosted by Tryon, like, oh my god, like just to see the reaction, or having somebody who is a better person in the game, hosting them to have them chat with the community as well. That would be sweet. That would be sweet. I wish they would do that. Maybe they still can.
Sorry about that, by the way. Somebody subscribed to the channel and I had the thing open, so it made the sound over you. I hope people caught the what you were saying. I'm sorry, I had it open, so it basically just had us up. So sorry about that, and also for, of course, YouTube was like, what is this sudden sound that is on there? My bad. I totally missed out on whatever you said. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, so, it'd be great. Long story short, it would be awesome if they still hosted.
Yeah, we would love to see some more support and some more to actually, not gonna call anybody out, but I actually sent our community manager a well, I'm kind of calling him out a little bit now, but I sent him an email 2 weeks ago, right after the podcast we had, and I asked, of course, for more proclaims in game, because I used them to promote I basically only use them for promoting the podcast. We used to get them when we basically start any time you streamed or anything you wanted to give away, and it unfortunately ended up being that people used them for just talking to each other, and so that's why they stopped them. And that's kind of sad that the few kind of mess it up for the many. But I asked for some more, and I haven't heard back in like 2 weeks from this guy. And I also asked if there was a chance of a developer getting on the podcast to kind of, because we are soon getting into, and we will of course talk about this a little bit later, about the major updates, the PvP update and stuff like that. And as you said yourself, the developer stream is very pro. I'm not saying we're against, like, it's us versus them or anything like that, but we are more critical about certain things where they're just like, if somebody asks like about lag on the, for example, on the dev stream, they just said, oh, we're looking into it, it's gonna be there soon. And it's like, not that we have the answers, but we're like, okay, has to be fixed, instead of just saying soon TM. So yeah. All right. So we do have a few questions you posted to me, so I will hand it over to you, because what you wanted to talk about a little bit. So the first one being class gyms, or basically for hitting 5K, and maybe you can elaborate on what you meant by that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I talk about and that I suggest that I think are really sweet is being able to give class gems to new players in the game, right when they hit 5K. So that way, they're able to see, the next level of their class, because class gems in general can be kind of tough to get, especially if you're a free-to-play player, if you're not putting any money into the game, you're not buying any packs, or doing anything like that. So it can be kind of tough to maybe get those empowered gem boxes, to get the class gem key fragments or the class gem keys. So it could take, somebody, month, or more, depending on RNG, to actually get their class gem, to really enjoy their class and to really, see their class evolve and really get to, the next level. Especially with class gems the way they are right now, with being, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. A lot of times you're gonna end up getting a 1 star, so I don't think it'd be that, big of a deal. If you were able to give, a class or a person a class gem key right when they hit 5K, and they when they hit 5K, they never get another class gem key. So if they go down, they go back up. You couldn't just cheat the game that way. But that way they can just see their class and get to experience that part of it, which would be really, really sweet. For new players, that way they can just enjoy their class.
Yeah, for sure. And it is quite I've explained it, I don't know how many times now, to people that like, how do I get my class gym? And I'm like, okay, I'm happy to answer the question, don't get me wrong, but it's a very long process, and it's kind of hard to basically tell a person how to get it, because it's like completely new territory, basically. So it's like get 5,000 power rank on one character, then you have to get the class key or the fragments, a whole key. You get them from empowered gem boxes. What is empowered gem boxes? Those are something you get there and there and there, and like you have to get it from. You can get it from Dawn of the Moon. What is Dawn of the Moon? And then I'm basically explaining like the whole game more or less, just to get to the point where it's like, what is that, and where do I get that to? I get to that, and I think we've talked about. I think I've definitely talked about this on stream. I don't think I've talked it on the podcast, actually. Something where you hit certain things the first time. Basically, when you hit a class the first time, 5,000, something pops up, tells you have 5,000 power rank. Now you should get these and these and these and like a tutorial. That goes through the whole game. The first time you hit certain things, like it wouldn't be like every time you hit 5,000. It would basically be the first time. I've no idea if that's possible to only do the first time, but definitely like something that when you hit certain things, it will tell you to do certain things.
Yeah, they have that a little bit in the game. And the tutorial in the beginning, I mean, it does a really good job of like showing you this and that, like Shadow Tower, this is your attacks. But I think that's a great idea. Like, it's just a tutorial that pops up like, hey, come here. And then it takes you to like a specific zone. It even shows you like what a class gem is. This is what it does. This is how you get it. And then at that point, that's when it gives you, like, you go through that whole tutorial. And then at that point, it gives you that actual class gem key at the end for like killing maybe a beginner or like an easier, Everdark, boss. Yeah. Would be, I think that would be sweet.
Yeah, just to get the first one, There's going to be plenty of opportunity to defeat bosses in the Everdark shores of Everdark, but first time do it as a one man whatever, and then scale it to wherever you like. If you're 5,600, for example, or something like that you could solo it quite easily, and then tells you like this was the first time, was a trial thing. Next time you have to do it for real, and this is how you go and certain.
Yeah, more tutorials I think are better, especially for somebody brand new coming to the game that doesn't have friends. I think that's, for somebody who's just starting out, they really don't know what's going on, so they're trying to figure everything out, and not everybody goes on Twitch as well, so they're gonna have a tough time trying to figure out like, how do I finally get this, or I have these key fragments, but what did they actually do? So they may not actually figure out that they have to go to Everdark to actually get their Clash Gem key. So I think that would be great to just help boost them, to where and knowledge, for what they got to do.
Yeah, as Chad is saying as well, they to build a better tutorial. They actually did revamp the tutorial, and it's in the game now, but it's only helping you in the beginning, and then that is what, like 5% of the game. And then you got 95% of the game you have no idea what to end up with. How do I get a class key? How, for example, exactly, like I play a lot on the Shadow Hunter, and when you get the class gem on the Shadow Hunter, you get rapid fire. And people are like, how do you shoot so fast? Well, I actually get it from this class gem. Oh, what is a class gem? Right, so then you got the whole explanation of how to, because like just telling a person, get 5,000 power rank on one character, go to the shores of Everdark, defeat the boss, and that's it. Like, but I can't open it. I don't have like a thing. And where did I get that? Well, yeah.
Yeah, and some people might not even know that they actually have enough fragments to actually craft a key. Like, that they have to go into the adventure bench, and that if they have 3 fragments, they can actually craft a key, and that key will actually be able to unlock, that chest. So, I honestly, have you played the new tutorial?
No.
For the game?
No, I haven't actually.
So I started an alt account, so it's basically just a bank account to hold stuff for me. But I started the new tutorial, and it was so much fun. It was so much better than when I first played the game, a year ago. It takes you through, the modes at different parts it goes through. You actually go in and fight like a mini Shadow Tower boss, and you have like the Daughter of the Moon. A spoiler alert if you never played, if you're about to play it, but you're like, this Daughter of the Moon is talking to somebody, and then she like leaves, and then you start fighting somebody. It's like super cool to go through again. I was like, this was so much fun. This is sweet. But something like that, like you never see any of that, ever again in the game. So having something like that molded into like the Clash Gem key, I think would be really cool.
Yeah, it kind of takes you on to the next question you also posed to me about lores and about more lore in like missions and stuff like that. So I think we're kind of like going into that as well.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of a scenario where you go into, and that could be something that pops up for you, like a little guy in the corner says, "Hello, you reached, congratulations, you've hit 5,000 power rank. Would you like to have this tutorial about how to acquire a class gem?" And then it would take you on this journey that tells you like basically all the things. And it could be like wherever you had to hit like some kind of specific place that's significant in the tutorial, it would like pause the game and like, so you would have to read this before you could kind of like continue, So and people wouldn't skip it and be like, "Oh, I forgot about,"
Yeah, that's kind of how the tutorial is kind of now. I encourage you to try to like make an alt account, just like play it out.
I think can't you do it? Do you have to have a whole new character to do that?
I don't know, because when you first started the game ever, it took you into like that beginner area.
Yeah.
Where like, this is how you break down a block. This is how you pull out your mount. How you use your attack abilities, like that part of the area. So there's like 2 or 3 different zones just like that dedicated to the tutorial, like to how to like play the game, and it like gives you a little information of the Shadow Tower, has a cutscene in it which is super cool. And I feel like, my question for you would be like, how sweet would it be to have, more cutscenes or more of that lore of, maybe cutscenes of, why Luminopolis is here, them, the resistors and all that kind of stuff, talking and battling it out, and we got to kind of break down, why they're doing it, and you go through like a series of missions instead of just like the box up in the corner. Like, would you be open to that in the game?
Yeah, for sure. Like a game like World of Warcraft had used it like many years have used like cutscenes for explaining or and you can always cut out of them. I'm not sure if it's something that should happen every time you enter like Neon City biome or anything like that. But like the first time you ever like hit the Neon City biome, maybe it would display it or something like that. Definitely cutscenes for something and like more. A funny fact is actually that the more lore is actually in the game, the more people actually keep to the game. Even though maybe many people skip it, they know it's there. But a game without lore that people, they will. I skip most lore. Like I don't read it all and stuff like that. But it's actually, even though if you skip it, the more you actually have or story, the more people actually like stick with the game. That's actually a fact that people have like researched. Kind of.
Yeah, even like accessible lore. Be able to read. Some like go back. Like maybe you're just there, or you just want to kill some time. You want to go back and read about stuff. So being able to like just go back and read stuff. I know now they're trying to add lore into the game by adding more into this like the description boxes on weapons and items, like how this item got into the game, or like the new dragons, giving more description about them. Like that's great, but like being able to go back and learn more about why the different zones have certain mobs in them, why why Neon City changed the Luminopolis. Instead of having to rely on the devs telling us. So if that was in the game, I don't think we'd have to ask as many questions to them as well. We could go and kind of figure it out on our own. But I'm exactly like you. With games, I just skip through like part of the quest, and I'll just go back later and figure it out. I'll learn through the cutscenes. Like, oh, that's what I was doing. Okay, all right, okay, now I get it.
But they could easily make a tab when you hit escape. Well, I'm talking PC, of course, but the escape menu where it has like the settings for everything, just have like one called cinematic or something like that. You click that, and then you can go like back and rewatch it. If you accidentally, hit the escape button or some button that stopped the cutscene, you can go back, you can rewatch it, and then oh, that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just being able to go back and like somebody said in chat, they just came back to the game and they don't know anything about gems. So being able to just go into like a let's say like there's a tab opened up, on keyboard, maybe it's Y or whatever, and it just opens up. If you want to learn about gems, it just gives you a breakdown on like how to do stuff for gems. What gems are, where you can acquire them, that kind of stuff, and this gives you that kind of information. Just even simple stuff like that, where instead of having somebody rely on going to a stream and be like, hey, I just came back to this game, what are these gems?
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, those are just gonna be dropping, and you gotta explain the whole thing about gems. And now with augments, you gotta explain the augmenting, or you gotta be like, oh, go to Trovosaurus, they have a great page, and they can tell you all of that. So just like some stuff like that into the game, where if somebody hasn't gone through the gems, there's a tutorial that can just show them about the gem boxes and augments that are new to the game. Just those little things I think would be kind of cool to be able to add into the game. It's not lore specific, but it's gameplay, just gameplay stuff. And like you suggested, even like it stops the game. Like if you want to reroll your gem, you have to do this, and then it tells you that you have your boosters down here, and your gem breaks. Maybe it breaks the gem for you, and then you got to do it. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. So explaining everything, like what does basically everything do. So yeah. Oh, we touched on cross-platform as well.
Hmm.
You said something about has a set something about Fortnite having a set bar.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the right now, as far as free to play games, Fortnite has really set the bar. Right when they came out, the game, it's a BR game, so BR is just the wave right now as far as games go. But also, it was free to play, and it already had cross platform. Um, a mode that they had from Paragon where PlayStation and PC would play together. So they already had that like built into the game. So they already had that where PlayStation and PC players could play together. Like that was so cool because it just was able to appeal to so many different people. Because again, some people might have PC, some people might have PlayStation, and now you got friends that are able to play together in a game where maybe if you make it separate, they're not able to play. And maybe one person's like, "What? My friends aren't on PC. I'm on PlayStation. Like I'm not going to play this. I have nobody to play with, so they don't end up playing because they don't want to go try to find a club or anything like that. But now they can play with their friends. So, Fortnite kind of set that bar, and then they added in Xbox, and now Xbox is able to play with PC. Now PlayStation and Xbox aren't able to play together, but the bar was set really high. With Fortnite, having that cross-platform right away, I think was really cool. Different game entirely. Yeah. So, but it's a different game, But it's even just having that accessibility of cross-platform, I thought was really cool.
I think some of the basically steal from other games. Like that would be my personal. If I was a game developer, like steal what's working for the other games and what is like, but not steal everything, but steal something that's like what is working, what is like doing better for this game than we're doing basically, and you could have I know this is nothing they're not really doing with Trove, but Fortnite the mobile can can they only play with themselves or
no mobile can play with PC now. I believe it might only be PC. It might be PlayStation or Xbox as well, but yeah, mobile can play with PC at least, which. It's kind of an unfair advantage in that game. I know we're off topic talking about Fortnite, talking about troubleshoot, but yeah, I mean mobile's tough.
Yeah.
But they're able to do it. So really cool.
we shouldn't dig into that too much. So
but one of the cool things about Trove is that EU and NA are able to play together. So that's a lot of things. Other MMOs or other multiplayer games. They do end up separating the two, like World of Warcraft. I have so many friends that play World of Warcraft, but they're EU and I'm NA, so I'm not able to play with them. But Fortnite, having EU and NA be able to play together, that is really cool. So that is pretty sweet. Having the cross-platform, I think, would be really cool as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then maybe set some kind of limitations to it in the sense that we were talking about. Like trading, for example, like. That could be a no cross platforms, but like you still play with each other, helping each other out in Shadow Towers, everything basically.
Yeah, the limitation I think would definitely could be a starter, a starter part where you're just able to invite to a Shadow Tower, see how it goes.
Well, talking about battle royale games, we are actually had some recent information. About the rest of the year, I personally have been hoping to get this kind of information for a very long time. They did last year. They did a producer letter. Rick sent out a producer letter with saying like, this is what's coming. This is approximately where the time it's coming and stuff like that. And I was really hoping to get that around Christmas. But we didn't hear anything at all. But now we're kind of getting a little bit of a kind of a estimation on when we are going to see like the rest of the year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of the estimations I think I'm kind of close to it is that they're doing 3 more major updates. We've touched on those. So they're said that it's kind of being start of summer. We are going to see this PvP update. We not know what's going to be more with that. We're hoping maybe another sub biome. That would be great. We talked about this on the last podcast. end of summer, we're going to see another major update with like what they've said is that they're introducing Prime World or Uber 10, not putting it in, but putting in like the lore, basically telling the story which you would go through and like set it up to basically what we were kind of talking about just before. And then the end of fall, I'd say like mid October. I'm not sure, but like November, we'll see U10. Then it's not 100% of course like that, but that's basically what we've kind of taken from the timeline.
Yeah.
So the what we're going to talk about is actually PvP, the PvP update. U10 we're probably going to get into way later when we get some more information. But PvP update, we're talking about Battle Royale. So what are your thoughts on current PvP and then
Well, current PvP right now, I personally don't PvP in Trove. I've done it like once or maybe twice. I know I watched a lot of other people who have done it, who play it. I think there's a lot more needs to be done with it, as far as class balancing, modes, queues. I think right now it's set up to where you have to have people go with you, so you can't really queue like into it and then like get queued up with other people, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So like having a queue with it, I think would be good, because I'm sure there's people out there that want to play PvP in Trove, but they just may not have friends or people they know that want to go in and do it with them. They may, go into the chat and so that they're looking for a game, but maybe they might not be able to get anybody to go into a game with. So a queue would be good. I think for PvP, I think that would help. Balancing, the one thing that's always tough with PvP is balancing, and how does balancing in PvP affect PvE? So that's going to be tough. With the new PvP mode, if it's Battle Royale that they come out with, they ride that wave of Battle Royale with Trove, that would be really interesting to see how that would work. You flow in with no items, and then you just RNG to get like a common weapon or like a stellar weapon. I guess that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
If that was the case, I'm sure they would keep it like no class gems in the game, because that would be kind of broken for certain classes. But it would be interesting how it would work. But again, it all comes down to balance of the classes. Because some classes are there able to use abilities? Is it just basic attacks? So it'd be interesting to see if that's the new PvP mode, how that would actually work with Trove. I don't know how I would feel about that one.
Personally, I think that it's great to have Battle Royale in Trove, in the sense that there should be. It's maybe not for everybody, but I think it's great that we have options. So. If you don't, you could be like, oh, I hate Battle Royale games, I hate like Fortnite and all those jazz. Yeah, but nobody's forcing you to play it. Like, it's an option for you, instead of just have capture the flag, for example. We just have captured. We also had deathmatch, I think, a little bit. Or I think that's what's going on at the moment. I'm not sure. It could also be a rotation where it's like, now for this week it's capture the flag, next week it's Battle Royale, next week it's this, or something like that. Could also be kind of the deal. Or basically, if you could just sign up for any of the things you want to, then there's definitely be maybe some options, and maybe some options are going to be like more popular than other ones. But it's better to have options than like saying, okay, now we're just going to make Battle Royale, that's the only PvP we're going to have, and then people are just still going to be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. More the merrier. Having more modes is always good. I think the rotation, like you said, would be really cool to see. There's no queue, right? There's no queues for PvP at all?
No, not really. There is a queue by the sense that you like you have with the challenges, like coin collections, for example. You get sent in, and then you wait basically in the map until people fills up, like that.
Okay, so you can be like wait there for like.
You can wait for like
for a while.
like many other games do, like you queue up for PvP. Like let's take World of Warcraft, you sign up, and then
Yeah.
it pops up when you can do other things while, but that's
Yeah.
not in Trove. You just stay there, and then you basically play whenever there's gonna be filled, like, and you can't do anything else.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that would be tough. Especially with the, I mean, what are the like 5 or 10? Is it 10 in the deathmatch and capture the flag? Like
Yeah, I think so. I
five
think
per
it's
team
five
or
on
something.
five or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, I'd be interested to see. I mean, the BR mode I think would be kind of cool to see. See how that works. Whether it's uh, you know, it would be interesting to see. The map.
Yeah.
What would the map look like? You know, spawns, all that kind of stuff. It would be really interesting. It'd be interesting. I won't lie to you. There'll be some classes out there. If you are able to use abilities, that would be a lot better than other classes out there. So I think if you do that kind of game, you'd have to be really like wary of like the class abilities.
Yeah.
What abilities could be used, what abilities can't be used.
But what like I feel like battle royale games does really perfectly is that say you die pretty early in the game. It's not like you have to wait like let's say 15 minutes before you can play again. You basically just go out, you just sign up for a new one, you go again. Maybe you have better luck the next time, and maybe you don't. Like it's always going as fast as you want to go, basically.
Yeah. I'm sure that mode would have to be like 10 people. I don't think they could do more than that. I feel like it might get really laggy. But that'd be sweet. That'd be sweet, and the games could go quick. I mean, you just go in. I mean, that's like you said, it's a great thing about BR. You're in. You live. Maybe you live to the end. Maybe you die right away. You're just like, all right, well, let's go back in and just play another one.
Yeah,
that'd be sweet. I mean, it'd be really interesting. Really interesting.
What I would find very fun is the RNG in it. I know that people don't like RNG in the Trove, but like sign up with any class you want to, basically, and then level up as you will start at level 1. Everybody will start you like reset, and everybody would be level 1. So nobody would start with their ultimate, for example. You had to level up before that. And what Path of Exile did in their I'm referring, they also had a battle royale game going on, and then they are an RPG game. And what it was is that you could kill players, but there was also monsters in the game, so you could level up by just killing monsters, and then that's the way you basically did. But it scaled, of course. So you started on the beach, for example, and then the monsters got harder and harder as you progressed into the map. So you got more and more experience, of course, but that's like everybody, right? And they opened chests and random stuff dropped out. And as Path of Exile is like you place a gem in your gear, and that's the skill you use. I think it could be the same way. Like you could be lucky and maybe get your class gem or something like that. I know that would be like maybe insane in some way, but I'm not saying it's going to be in like every chest, but I'm just saying like randomly sometimes you have like this luck, and sometimes you don't have this luck, and considering the monsters is in there as well, kind of because many people just die to like the monsters in the game and not to players. And if you were like 20 people or something like that, you could level up with the monsters, and then you could fight each other, because if a person only leveled up by killing other players, then it would just be like if you get one person, that's the way.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I mean, it'd be like a jungle, like in a MOBA, like you're just leveling off the creeps. But yeah, I think that'd be pretty sweet. Honestly, I probably would. I don't know, man. I think I still would have to come to lag. If there's continuously, let's say a lot of people are playing it, and they're constantly generating more and more worlds for the BR games, I think this is going to create just more and more lag. I think until they figure out the lag problem, I don't know it. I think it'd be a really cool move, but I don't know how well it would go if you keep running into the lag. That's in the game. I think that's going to be one part that maybe holds that BR mode back. Is just the lag aspect that's in the game right now.
Yeah, definitely. And lag is always going to be an issue, and it's probably something that's always going to be on the agenda for the podcast or any basically talking about the game. So yeah, we can't really go into like the lag basically because it's something that's been asked I think a million times, and I think it's by now become a mean question. It's like, when are you gonna fix the lag? It's just I can't like deal with it anymore. It's like
Well,
I just had
problem.
enough of that. I just had enough of that. That question because it's just not taken seriously by like the devs. So all right. So PvP update. Very excited to know what's coming in the next weeks. They teased it a little bit today, so I haven't seen that because we've done this. But we will, of course, talk about that more on the podcast when we hear some more. Love to get a developer, so if anybody's watching out there, hello, hi, come join the podcast. It's fun. I'm a nice person and I treat people kindly, ish. Oh. To what we else are going to talk about is about tomes for everything. It's been recently talked about a Phaedos tome and also a Cinnabar tome. And what are your thoughts about like tomes for anything, or is there something you think there shouldn't be a tome for?
Yeah, I mean, tomes are great as far as being able to give you certain items in the game. As for repeatable tomes, I don't think there should be repeatable tomes for a lot of stuff. I think the way they have it right now isn't so bad. I think a lot of people ask for a Cinnabar tome. I think Cinnabar makes a lot of sense. It's an ore. It's something you can farm. So I think that would make sense as far as another tome that comes out. I think they kind of hinted that may be something down the road that they're going to do. So I think a Cinnabar tome would be great to have. I think for the market, I think that would bring down the marketplace as far as how much Cinnabar costs right now. So I don't think, for those people who play the marketplace, they may not be too happy about that one. But I think a Cinnabar tome would be great, especially with so many different items in the game, needing Cinnabar to craft them. I think having that tome is kind of a no-brainer. As far as other items, I can't really think of too many items that just make sense to have a tome. To be honest with you, it's great to have them, like if you need them to farm certain items in the game, but that kind of takes away from the ability to just go out and play the game to kind of get them on your own. If you have a tome, then it's just like, well, fairy dust tome. So that's one that comes up a lot. And that tome, should be one that probably put in the game. Bleach Bones already has one. I don't think Bleach Bones does, right? I gotta look at my tome. I'm trying to look at the tome. I don't think Bleach Bones does. So let's look at this. So Bleach Bones doesn't.
No.
So I mean, Bleach Bones could be one. So if you're gonna add like fairy dust, you got like Bleach Bones, Sticky Ichor. What other things that are out there? Is there a mushroom tome?
Yeah.
So mushroom chunks. I mean, it's just so many things. Like if you add tomes for that, then there's so many other tomes you just gotta add into the game. So it's like a fine line. Like what can we add? What shouldn't we add? It's a tough decision. I think ore tomes, you already have most ores out there. So like, Formosite, Shapestone, Infinium, they all have tomes. So adding Cinnabar, that just makes sense. When you're starting it to fairy dust and all those ones, it's just like, you should be going to the worlds to farm that kind of stuff. So, if you add tomes in, you're taking away the gameplay, from the game as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's one of my concerns, or something I think about is the if, like you said, if you can do everything in like either Shadow Towers, well, that's actually going to make Shadow Towers even more profitable if you can just have every tome, because it's kind of a rabbit hole you go down through. I feel like if you make a tome for Cinnabar, why don't you have it for like Phaedust? And when you get it for Phaedust, why don't you have it for Bleach Bones? And it in some way just keeps going that way, if you have one, you should have for all things, basically. It's always going to be somebody that's going to be like...
Yeah.
And as you said about the as you said about the marketplace, it's basically from where you look at it. Because as a person like myself that likes to like have new players come into the game and actually like the game and not feel like they need Flux for everything because it's maybe something is overpriced or something like that. It's hard for me to be objective in this sense because I can also see it from the people that actually work the marketplace and actually have their flux made through that and actually like to do that and then see like a market basically just break or like just be completely useless because there's tomes for everything. And the thing you said about, like we talked about, like Shadow Towers, you can just do everything in Shadow Towers. You don't have to go anywhere else but Shadow Towers. And yes, it is Trove at the moment, Trove's endgame, but I don't think you should be doing everything. I don't think that Shadow Towers should be as OP as it should be because it's the best way to experience if you can get like a person to carry you through. Like that is the best way to get experience. It is. And I don't. If you also add tomes that for everything, who would ever go anywhere outside of Shadow Towers, basically?
Absolutely, and maybe for like Fairy Dust, maybe those ones are weekly ones. You get 500 or 100 or whatever number that sounds good. You get that weekly, so it's once a week you can get it. It's not a repeatable tome. So
yeah.
That could be a way to solve that one. Like, yeah, we can give you some of these items weekly. We're not going to give you as far as repeatable, but I agree with you. I mean, Shadow Towers are the way to go for everything. I mean, that's what I basically do all day. I don't really need to farm gem dust too much because I'm not really big on getting all my classes to max power rank. So I basically farm Shadow Towers, for experience. So getting experience, leveling my tomes, stellars. So if you take away the aspect of actually going to worlds and farming those items, it's like what's the point, to really playing the game? You just if you give me everything, then I really don't have to go anywhere else, and it's just going to lead to like more people being like, well, I actually don't have anything to do in this game because now I can just do everything here, and then they just end up leaving to go play another game that has that's maybe more of a challenge.
And there's not a lot of variety in the Shadow Towers. It does change every week and stuff like that, but there's not too much variety in the layouts there is. So you're basically running the same thing over and over. Basically, a tome I forgot all about, the most meme tome there's out there, the meme tome, 100 fish lore. Actually, what I'm coming up on like 490 mastery, I'm getting the 100 fishing lore a week, and everybody knows how you buy fishing lore basically, but it's what is it, 10 glim per every fish lore or something like that. So I'm like making like 1,000 glim basically, but I'm having it in fish lore instead. So that is definitely a weird tome that's out there. And as you said, why should you go anywhere else if you can get everything in Shadow Towers?
It's tough. I've never fished. I will tell you that I've never fished ever.
Ever?
I never have fished, and I never will fish. It's something I've always stuck to. I just have no desire to fish. So honestly, I know where to get a fishing pole or like lures just because my wife knows where it's at. So she'll tell me where to go. I have no idea. Like I have no idea. I've never fished. I don't even know. Like I don't know anything about fishing because it's just something I just never wanted. I just never have like the desire to do it. So I know nothing about it. Like the last I'm off topic right now. The last event they came out, we had a fish at the end. I was like, we can't finish this because we got to fish, and I'm not gonna do it. But yes, but tomes. I mean, once you go down that road, it's just like, well, now you got to put a tome for this, now you got to put a tome for that. I know Chrono said Cinnabar is a weird spot because if you add Cinnabar, it's taking away people's ability to make flux. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you are lower in the marketplace in that aspect, but there are so many other ways to make flux in this game.
Yeah,
if Cinnabar is not the only way.
No, 100%.
To make flux, not the only way to make flux.
But it like I said before, is the point of view because a new player is going to be very excited that the price is going down, but people that live or live off it or make money off it is going to be like, no, I don't want that, and you're never going to make, in that sense, anybody happy if you make a tome or not for it.
Well, I mean, that's life. I mean, nobody's going to be happy. I mean, there's always going to be somebody upset about something. So, that's a tough spot, But with tomes or anything in the game, if you add this one, you got to add that one. Somebody's going to be upset that you added this and not this one. So
yeah, but I think they did something really amazing with the mastery tomes, like basically not the lore tome, but or the lure tome, sorry. But it could be something that you gain access to higher up, because you use the marketplace to do like that. So it could be something we're gonna see later on, introduced through mastery. And I think that's maybe a better way, and then make it a weekly thing where it's only like 100 or something like that. Maybe like.
Yeah, I think or I mean, again, if you added a tome that's daily, but it's at a higher mastery, then that would be, I guess that'd be kind of tough too, but because then you're playing to end game players who are able to get that mastery. So again,
it's a point of view, right? Because
but it's good. I agree with you. Being able to get tomes at certain mastery points is kind of cool. Because like the gem dust one, the gem dust tomes, getting 5,000 gem dust. That's great. That's a good amount of gem dust that you don't have to farm, and you get that every week.
100%. All right, I think we've discussed enough about tomes. I don't think I've ever had a conversation as long as about tomes. It's a hot topic, guys. It's a hot topic.
Tome is life.
It's gonna be Tomegate 2018. All right, we got a few more things we want to discuss before, and I hope we are running a little bit along on this one, but it's been amazing talking, so that's why we just keep running. Well, we're gonna do the next one pretty quickly. It's gonna be about your opinion on how the reworks. Basically, we are going to see the rework of the Revenant coming, the PvP update. So in start of summer, we'll see the Revenant. After that, it's gonna be the Ice Age. And so I've talked about many times about the rework. Some people probably know what my opinion is about it, or you can check out the other podcasts that probably talked about it. But I would like to know yours, Ayum. What is your take on the reworks?
Yeah, I think reworks are great. I think there's so many classes that are out right now that were great when they first were created, or they were good, but just don't scale as well, with current classes that are getting reworked themselves or are coming out in the game. So, going back and touching on those classes is definitely, good for the game. That way those classes just don't get forgot about and people don't play them at all. As far as the Revenant rework, the change where, Revenant, the ability, I think it's the spears won't scale off max health. I think it's scaling off physical damage. I think it's good. As far as max health goes for Revenant, this is my own personal opinion in this game. Tanks in general aren't really needed in the game. So having a lot of max health isn't something that's really needed in this game. The damage in this game is so high that you're able to burst through mobs relatively quickly with high damage. So having the Revenant be based off physical damage, I honestly I think it's just a no-brainer move. I think making the Revenant just scales off physical damage just makes it easier instead of having to build towards a tank or build high health to be able to have one of your abilities do a good amount of damage. So if it just is baseline off physical damage, it just makes everything easier for all the classes, because basically most classes in the game are either going to be physical damage crit, so, or magic damage crit. So that's just the way the game's going right now for all classes, and being able to get into shadow towers, most times they're going to take a candy bar over a Revenant anyways. Yeah. So just make the the Revenant high burst damaging class off physical damage. Let's go, yeah. Revenant. Let's go, Rev. Bring it back.
All the Revenant mains out there is going to be positive. What would your opinion be about now? You said that it's gonna the spears is gonna scale off physical damage, but how do you feel about it being scaling off both health, not both health and physical, but either like it would basically do, I don't know how that's gonna be, but like it would scale off health. If that was your like, what would give you the most damage, and if it would scale off physical damage if you had the most. So you had the both options, or either going like glass cannon or going tank, but doing the same damage. But
I think that would be sweet. I think it gets options. I think options are always great. If you want to build your Revenant, straight meat shield, and you just want to go out and be a tank, then yeah, if you're not losing any damage, I think that's phenomenal. But if you want to build your Revenant, you want to go out there, you want to be competing with the gunslinger, which nobody can compete with the gunslinger, but if you want to go out there and show your DPS friends what's up on your Revenant, yeah, I think being able to do that as well would be awesome. I really like the Revenant. I think it's a really cool class. I think it has some of the coolest costumes
it has
in the game. So, but the damage it's okay, but I don't play the Revenant that often, so there might be people out there like, yo, Revenant is so good, so but I think having the option of max health and physical damage, I think would be really cool, to have that. One class can be range and be melee. Why can't the Revenant scale off max health and physical damage?
Yeah. I might have to correct myself, because why would you go glass cannon if you do the same damage as a like max health thing? But there would of course be some kind of like, in the sense that if you wouldn't do the same damage, but like in the sense that if you went max health or something like that, you're not able to crit, for example. Like that would be like your downside of anything. But definitely, I do have to correct myself in saying, of course, you shouldn't do the same damage if you have max health, because then everybody would just go max health, right? So
yeah, everybody would go max health.
Yeah, because you're doing the same damage, and why would you not have the health when you can do the same damage? So, but
yeah, so being able to go one or other, I think would be really cool. But the physical damage, honestly, with my opinion of the game, I think the way the game is right now, with the damage being so high, just having it just be physical damage, it honestly just makes it easier for the Revenant. You can just build it physical damage, and you just grab an unyielding emblem, so that way you don't are going through your pots really fast. So if you want to tank it or something like that.
Yeah. Now we're actually also kind of that was we could have talked a lot more about reworks and stuff like that, but we're also kind of debating on the end game, basically, and that's like this thing we're gonna end with is the end game. But we're kind of talking it with the rework to making scaling the other classes to where they could try to compete with like a lot of things. I know the Dracolite has recently seen like a lot more play.
I play Dracolite now.
Yeah. So what happened to the Fate Trickster was one of the first reworks. Didn't have the effect that I think the devs wanted it to get. It was a meme class before that, but people did main the Dracolite before the rework, and now they kind of went away from it, I think, a little bit, but now they're definitely got back to it 100%. So maybe we'll see the same thing happen to the Revenant, that being the tank or the DPS that people like, because
if the damage is there, I think it'd be really great. The Dracolite rework was so good. I mean, it's arguably I would say it's one of the better classes to do Shadow Tower carries. I do Shadow Tower carries now on my Dracolite because it's so nice. The damage is a lot better. The little Dragonlings can tank everything, so it's just so good. So if the Revenant gets a rework and it can be able to do high end damage and be able to do carries and things like that, more classes are able to do that. I think it's the better. That way, it's not always the same classes that you see in the end game, which is your gunslingers, your candy barb tanks, and that's pretty much it. Pyre captains are in there as well. I don't want to forget about the Pyre captains, because you see some of those as well. But yeah, having more classes at the end game is good. If your end game is doing ultra shadow towers, having more classes to be able to pull damage numbers and do more damage would be great.
Yeah.
And at that end game.
They have said also that the gunslinger is not gonna get nerfed. They don't believe in the nerfing thing, and I think that's a positive. I think it's better to try to get the other ones somewhere close to, or as you said, a lot of people uses the Draculite now for carries and stuff like that, and I think that's really, really positive. That other ones see that, but the end game that we have right now. What is your opinion about the in-game? Basically, what would you categorize? I know I'm kind of asking another question now, but what do you categorize the end game for Trove? And
well, I mean, there's probably two different ways you can go for end game. Your end game can either be getting purple name, being one of the top speedrunners for Dart of the Moon. That could be your end game. As far as getting that purple name, it could be max mastery or max PR. I feel like that's really the end game. Is kind of those three, because there really isn't no end game where you're beating a boss and you're trying to get a set or you're trying to get a certain item. If Stellar's the end game, then that end game happens. Be RNG and it can happen really early in the game. So. There really isn't an end game in the game. There's no true end game to Trove. Right now there's no raids or long story lore missions or anything like that where you have to complete. So there's none of that in the game right now. Could that happen in the future? I hope so. But there really isn't. Any true end game. It's basically mastery, power rank, and purple name or yellow name. Getting yellow name as well. Yeah. But I mean, you get that with mastery. So that's basically the end game right now. Yeah. And once you hit it, it's like, what do I do in the game now? Yeah. What's there to do?
Well, there's always going to be a limit. Of course, there's always going to be like somewhere you can only go. But do you think it's enough? Do you think what's right now is enough? As an end-game?
No, absolutely not. So I think there should be more added to the game. I mean, if that's the end game, I feel like building more of the middle of the game, I guess would be the better way to go. Building up clubs, adding more additions to clubs. Tabs for clubs. More different aspects to the clubs that you can do that. So that way, if you are end game, if you have max mastery or a higher power rank, but you care a lot about your club, you're able to do more club things. There's more you can do in your club and kind of build your community that way that can keep you in the game, active into the game. Because, if you're not a speedrunner, you're not really trying to get purple name. If you hit high mastery and you're hitting high PR, what is there to do except for just get all your characters, to max PR, which is just a crazy grind to do. So if you could build like that, the club aspect, and I think they're starting to get more into that, but I think it add more into that, the club aspect or building. I know there's a lot of builders out there that want a lot of building, new blocks or, adding more, building concepts into the game. So, that part of it, if there can be more of that into the game, that could, appeal to certain people. But there's always going to be that crowd that wants the end game, fighting, the raids and that kind of stuff, which as of right now for Trove, there is none of that. So there's not much to that.
No, but you actually said a word that was actually sitting here thinking about raids, as we have it in, like, I keep mentioning World of Warcraft, but they have an in-game of raids, for example. But if you could, what would you think that what would an in-game for Trove be? Like, if you can just like take inspirations from other games. I'm not saying don't think about lag and don't think about limitations and money and stuff like that. But what would you think would be a good in-game for Trove if you took inspiration from other games and still could kind of work in Trove?
Oh my gosh, I talk so much about having like an actual set roles in the game. So you actually have a tank that you need to have in the game. adding a healing class in the game, I think would be so much fun. Like a dedicated healer that could actually heal you, and like scaling on the damage of mobs, and the damage that we do to mobs as well. So that way you're not like bursting through mobs, or the mobs just are bursting through your vials. Like taking away like or changing those mechanics in the game would be kind of fun. Reworking the shadow towers. So instead of like going through a portal and then you go to the next one, you go to the next one. Maybe make it more of an open zone where you go to here. This is how you get to Spike Walker. And then you go through and you're fighting all the minions. And then you get to Weeping Prophet, and you just keep circling through. And then finally you get to, Daughter of the Moon, which is at the end. So making it more linear, I guess you can kind of say, and where it's not just portals. So it's actually like a actual raid. It's actual dungeon where you're going through and you're killing multiple mobs. I think that would be fun aspect. I don't know if everybody would be into that. I think that could add, to that raid concept for endgame, of being able to do that for endgame. Be able to get there. Maybe adding another difficulty level where there's ultra. You add mythic. You add a higher level at the end, and that's super hard. And you want people that may not beat it for months. Like you literally got to get a good group of people to get there. And then at the end, you get that next set, instead of where you can get a set like maybe going to U10, but maybe you get like a different set from it for completing it. So, and but a lot of people, like I play World of Warcraft, not everybody gets the Mythic. So that would only appeal to like the top-notch players. So the other, 90%, 98% of your population wouldn't be able to do that. But maybe that is end game concept that could be added into the game.
Yeah, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be, and then there's going to be people that are going to complain that they can't get to Mythic, for example, and stuff like that. And that has to be in the game. There has to be an elite in the game, and you just have to be okay with it, that you're not like part of that. But you can work towards it, and you can get there as well if you have the dedication. And it's something like a raid, or where people have basically a role they actually have to fill, and not just like well, I don't know what the perfect setup for speedruns is right now, but I'm thinking like a tank and then seven gunslingers, for example, and just popping their potions. Basically just make sure that you pop them on the right to do max damage, and that's it. For me, that's not an end game. That's just people with a potion trying to shave up like 0.0 seconds, 1 second, basically.
They're just trying to get as low as you can,
So something like a raid or something like that, where you could also with your club like set something up like that, and have a competition, for example, also that World of Warcraft has had for a very, very long time. For example, that like we're the world first, like this boss, and world first this boss, and I think that would be cool to also have races like that. That's not just individually, but like clubs or certain groups of people.
That'd be sweet. Taking your club, your club members, and having them do raids, and opening up to maybe 20 people can go in. Not just 8. So there's more people that can go through and experience it, and it's a little bit tougher, and you gotta kind of get everybody on the same page. Maybe adding in titles into the game as well, so you have like your names there, but then you add in like a title. So let's say you're somebody who just does like the craziest amount of building or farming or something like that, and you just get a title for doing it, and you got to work towards it. That could be something that's end game as well, just adding in titles, kind of like the insane title I think it was in World of Warcraft.
Something like that shows off your achievement and stuff like that. And I don't think we can ever get past people's wanting to show off what they have achieved in games and stuff like that, and just shoving it at other people's faces, basically. And
and that's the cool thing about titles in World of Warcraft. Is like, when you have that title, it's like, oh wow, like they actually like did that, like that's crazy.
Having the title of the insane is insane, and then people will say that's insane. So something like that. And I think it brings us back actually to something we talked about earlier about raids and stuff like that. Lore, because World of Warcraft has like this theme right now that the theme is Legion. So everything is every raid that comes out has a theme to it where you're built towards like this storyline of this whole thing. And I think that would be perfect for Trove as well to have some kind of. You can have a storyline. People are probably just in there for killing bosses, but it will still be like a theme to it, and you still kind of go about lore. You still kind of go through it in the sense that even though you don't read it or look at it, basically you know it's there, and it's kind of in the back of your mind, and that kind of keeps you okay. We gotta, kill this guy because he's the boss, and we need to do this to save the world, kind of thing.
Exactly. And I mean, and then just figuring out like Spike Walker's here because of this, Weeping Prophet is this, like, so they have a backstory to who they are, you could I would encourage you to play the tutorial again so you could see like how that is, but like add that into like the raid concept, and then you just have like the mobs conversing, the cutscenes, all of that, and it's just like, well, all right, so this story's starting to make sense. They're scheming here, and then maybe next when they have like another update, maybe somebody passed Daughter of the Moon, or it's Son of the Moon, or Dad of the Moon, or whoever, whatever you want to call it. You have like you'd have like a backstory. You're like, no, like okay, this person's coming because they added all these little little Easter eggs that, and then finally like let you know like, okay, there's somebody bigger and badder who's coming. Later on in the game.
I definitely like the idea of murdering the whole Moon family.
There you go. Let's just get them out of here. They're just causing trouble. They're just causing. Maybe not Mom in the Moon. She's probably like, what, guys? You guys are kind of crazy, But,
you don't mess with Mother. You don't mess with
Mother. There's no way you can beat mothers.
No. All right. Right. So I think we're gonna end on that note about in-game. Endgame we can speculate, and we could come with like a millions ideas and what would work for Trove and what can't work for Trove, and again, this could be a 3 hour more basically podcast of talking about the end game, because it is definitely the issue. I think Trove's issues lies in the beginning being very tough, that we actually talked about the class gyms and stuff like that. So it's like the beginning can be very tough, and then, well, I'm not saying the end is really tough, but it falls off in the end. So you kind of have this middle ground where it's really, really great. And that's where I think like most Trove streamers also kind of keep themselves not trying to push too hard, because then you actually run out of things to do, and then you kind of get bored of the game. So you kind of stay in that middle ground where you don't push like all your classes to max, and don't like run speed running and stuff like that, because then you are basically what it is, and then you're just like more or less done.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the end game.
I think we're gonna end it here. I did say that like a minute ago, but we are going to end it here. So I want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Ayum, for coming on this one. I do really appreciate it that you're taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
Did you hear me?
You're breaking up. I can barely hear you.
Oh, you're breaking up. Oh, sorry. Right as I'm thanking you for being on and taking the time to do this, so I will repeat myself. So thank you so much, man. Am I still breaking up?
Yeah. I'm listening to the stream so I can actually hear you saying.
Oh, okay. You're gonna hear me twice.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me on, bro. I had a fun time. Thank you so much.
All right. Of course, it's gonna break in the end. Yeah. Of course. But if you does that your head on?
Skype just closed out.
Close this code. Anyways, great. I will just remove there because we are actually done, guys. But like I said, I want to thank Ayum for coming on. If you want to follow him and want to if you find him interesting in all, you can always go to the description and you can check out. The link will be there. Ayum, do you have a YouTube as well?
I do not. I do
Okay,
not have a
okay. So there
YouTube.
will be a link to his stream, and you can go check him out there. It's just if you had a YouTube, I would have linked it as well, because maybe somebody was like couldn't catch you on the. But you stream pretty often, so they will definitely get to check you out. So I want to thank everybody that has joined in today. Thank you for all your comments and stuff like that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, it ran a little bit long, so but that's just when we have good conversations, and it just keeps going. So definitely, if you like this video, if you've made it this far, make sure you guys like this video and maybe share it. Tell your friends about the podcast. We are going to have more people on, of course, and we're gonna continue trying to make Trove. It's about making Trove better and like having the conversation about it. So, yeah, thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next podcast or maybe another video. Bye.